kind of part three of this kind of final Donald Trump, the presidential election and the Brexit review. It's kind of a pragmatic assessment of modern politics. I was reading an interesting article recently that was an interview with a Senate member, a Congress member, and a governor, and some staffers who were talking about House of Cards and how reflective it is of American politics. And they were all saying, if you believe that to be a true reflection, you're incredibly naive. And they all said, it's far, far worse. You know, it's ruthless to the extreme. There are no friends, there are no healthy relationships, there's just somebody else waiting to fuck you. You know, that's how it's described. And I think we've seen recently with British politics is equally as ruthless, you know. Within hours, you know, the knives were out for David Cameron, and then we see that, you know, what Michael Gove did to Boris Johnson. You know, there's no loyalty in politics. It's a collection of puppets orchestrating their way to the most amount of power they can lay their hands on, you know. And some might argue that that's a cynical or maybe a slightly depressive way to look at it, but it's true. You know, we've consistently seen politics destroy lives, careers, reputations, friendships, marriages. It's a ruthless game, and that's the only way to describe it. It is a ruthless game where you've got to be prepared to stick the knife in some poor motherfucker you've known all your life. You know, Tony Blair and Gordon Brown in the early days were good friends. You know, they were good friends. By the end of it, they despised each other. Best friend of mine says a lot. He says, at the end of the day, you know, you're never going to know the truth. You're never really going to know what goes on. And, you know, I think he's right. You know, I think in the corridors of Westminster or Washington, D.C., you know, is a world that's probably completely alien to us. And I've worked in some pretty cutthroat environments, you know, where that ruthless streak is one of the most important credentials you can have to survive. You know, the IT sector is often like that. Even at local authority level, you know, people are wanting to be better than everybody else, and you'll stick the boot in if you have to. You know, and I'm sure people in the private sector, we've all been in situations where we've had someone ladder climb us, or we've ladder climbed somebody else. But I think in politics, you know, that's a fundamental part of the career path, and you have to, you know, you have to play passive aggressive, you have to be outright aggressive, you have to be ruthless, you have to be defensive, you have to use a whole arsenal to make in politics. And, you know, we've seen it recently with our MP, Nicky Morgan, you know, under David Cameron. She was this, you know, one of Cameron's babes, you know, one of the rising, shining lights of the Tory party, you know, and she managed to oust Michael Gove as Education Secretary. But then we've seen Theresa May come in, you know, and again, in hindsight, if you look back, you know, I think that there were individuals, you know, who managed the logistics of the Conservative Party, orchestrated that move weeks before it actually happened. You know, because it's very easy in hindsight to see how all of that crap kind of came together. But now, you know, looking at Theresa May, and particularly, you know, she's going for this hard Brexit, which, like I've said in part one of this video, I really hope she does. I really hope she does. I think the only way that we're going to get the maximum benefit from exiting the European Union is having to leave that single market. And I know for lots of people, you know, there's this anxiety of the unknown, and the fact that the Remain campaign, both, you know, celebrity endorsers and you know, media groups and politicians were painting this picture of absolute catastrophe if we dared, you know, speak our democratic voice and request that we exit the European Union. And it kind of amazed me, and I still haven't heard that many people who've really kind of researched their vote and their decision. You know, I spent 12 months really looking at the pros and cons, looking at how the European bureaucratic system worked, looking at how the lobbying system in Brussels worked, looking at the UK's economy, looking at our commitments financially to the European Union, and trying to do you know, I've done cost-benefit analysis many times in many different environments. I do it as somebody that runs their own business. I now do it on a daily basis, and I kind of employed the same tactics to think, well, okay, you know, this is what we're paying into the EU. What are we getting out? Blah blah blah. Through it. And like I've said in previous videos, you know, there's an element of me that kind of looks at the Remain camp and this, almost with this little Englander attitude that, you know, we've got our little European garden, we don't need anything else, we don't need, you know. And the facts are, you know, there's a whole world out there, you know, and I think that Theresa May is slowly realising that she holds all the cards. You know, she's in a position of power. The UK are in a position of power. You know, we've got Nicola Sturgeon throwing her 10 pence in, you know, and as far as I'm concerned, she wants another independence referendum and the Scotland vote out. That's fine, but, you know, you haven't got any oil left. Maggie, you know, she made sure you lost most of that. You know, you don't take the pound. You have to devise your own currency. You'll have to, you know, you're on your own, as far as I would be concerned. Because I think Nicola Sturgeon's, I do understand the point why she's, you know, the Scottish are voicing the concerns that they are, but I think you have to look a bit deeper as into why. Why is Nicola Sturgeon and why are Scotland so desperate to remain part of the EU? And I think it is very closely linked into this independence vote, and Scotland still striving to get that independence, because I think Scotland as a nation are pragmatic and smart enough to realise that isolated they will struggle. They will really struggle. And if they have that EU membership, it gives them that safety net. And I think when you really look at it, I'm 90% convinced that's the reason why Nicola Sturgeon is banging her drum so loudly. And maybe there are concessions, you know, I believe in devolution, I believe in extended devolution, I believe in more power being filtered down to local level. I think that's very important. So maybe there's some way of Scotland having some arrangement, whether it's a possibility once Article 50 is triggered, that they can kind of have their own independent relationship with the EU. The flip side of that is whether they can actually afford that, and how that process would work, and whether they would, you know, perhaps have to reapply and go through that quite lengthy process of becoming a member state in their own right. Who knows? But this is the funny thing, you know. Nicola Sturgeon she's playing power politics. She's trying to take the situation and place herself in the strongest possible position. The same can be said for Theresa May. I think she got rid of anybody that posed a potential threat at the time or a potential immediate threat over the next 2 to 3 years. I think she also placated individuals that had certain levels of popularity and power, Boris Johnson being a good example. I know Boris Johnson is wheeled out as this eccentric buffoon, but you don't achieve what Boris Johnson has done in his life by being the buffoon that he quite happily embraces the role of. I think it's sometimes very difficult to establish just how real politics actually is. It's like this illusion of freedom that we're almost cognitively developed from birth to believe exists. It doesn't. We're not free. We have very little freedom. We live within quite a structured cage. So long as we abide by the rules of that cage, we're allowed this perceived freedom. But in reality, we have a closer relationship to a dictatorship than we do a true democracy. And this isn't unique to the UK. Any Western government, the US, it's the freedom is fake. And I'm starting to perceive and look that maybe the political systems are equally as fake. They're just a level of common circumstance that are just there to serve a mechanical and visual purpose. Because in my 40 years on the planet, and I've seen a Tory government, I've seen a Labour government, and I've seen a Lib Conservative coalition that very nearly made the Liberal Democrats as a party an extinct creature. But my life has continued, and I don't necessarily feel that I'm any better or any worse off in lots of areas of my life. I feel that in my adult life, I've since probably since I turned 16, I've always been politically aware. I've always been involved in some level of activism. I used to get involved with, when I was 16, 17, when I first learned to drive, with the Hunt Saboteurs. I was involved in some of the criminal justice bill campaigns, and what I've definitely seen in my lifetime is that these perceived freedoms that our government give us, have been eroded away further, and as each year passes, we have less freedom. We're being spied on more, and we see these. I don't even want to call them people, but we see these individuals in Whitehall, our MPs who are supposed to be our representative voice in Parliament, become slowly more distanced from who we are as human beings. Our local MP, Nicky Morgan, she's a barrister, she's she works in the legal framework, she was briefly education secretary, how close is her existence to mine and my family's existence? Does she understand what it's like to live hand to mouth, to have a fiver in your pocket and have no idea where the next pound is coming from, Has she ever had that existence? pass judgment. I don't know anything about Nicky Morgan, you know, but if she falls within the standardised Conservative Party political model of MPs, she will have come from a relatively privileged background. And it's why when George Osborne and David Cameron came out of this, you know, we're all in this together, you know, oh the fuck, David, what the fuck do you know about putting £5 worth of diesel in your car because that's all you've got, and having to watch every mile that you do, you know. I've been there, you know, I know what that's like, and it's a shitty fucking existence. But you fucking arsehole, insult me by saying that we're all in it to fucking together. Fuck off, cunt. The final part of this is kind of, you know what, I know Trump's not everybody's cup of tea. I know exiting the European Union for some creates great distress. But you know what? For somebody that's very pessimistic, for somebody that looks for the negatives, do you know what I see? I see somebody in America, a president, appears to be genuinely wanting to tackle the bullshit, power-hungry, politically established wankers of Washington. And I hope that the bastards don't kill him. That's my biggest fear, that he'll be assassinated by the very people he's trying to fuck. And I hope that Donald Trump is smart enough to realise that. I'm not saying that I align myself with his political values, but I do align myself with a man that's trying to do something different, and to say to the political establishment, go fuck yourselves. It's time to do it differently. I'm hearing the words come out of Theresa May's mouth, and there's again part of me saying, come on, I hope you mean this. You know, let's galvanise, let's get together, let's embrace this time. It's something fucking different, something new. We're all about to experience something that a huge portion of the country have never experienced. I've never been an independent state. And you know what? I'm really excited, because I genuinely think it could mean something fucking amazing. If we sit here with our fucking thumbs up our ass bitching about every single fucking little thing, it's like people moan about minimum wage. I'm sick of minimum wage. Well, invest in yourself, get fucking educated, get trained, get a better fucking job. Don't sit there bitching and fucking moaning about it, cunt face. Because why should I work harder? I've gone out and trying to build a life, build a business, so I can earn more fucking money, so my family can have a better life. I didn't sit there thinking, fuck me, I want fucking more money. Why the fuck aren't they giving me more money? Embrace something, stop fucking whinging, crack on, get some graft done, and let's do something different. Let's go with the flow, let's celebrate this wonderful opportunity. You know? Because if we sit there, it's like in psychology, you know, some people know I'm a counsellor, psychotherapist, okay? I've done many jobs. If you look hard enough for something, I guarantee you'll fucking well find it. That's how it works. And that your mental outcome on any situation is the most important thing. People who have a positive mental outlook tend to have more positive lives. People with a negative outlook tend to have shitty negative lives. So leave the negative shit, fuck that. Let's look at this, exiting the European Union, Donald Trump in the White House. This could be a wonderful new era. It could be a fucking disaster. But while it isn't, and there's a possibility of something amazing, let's embrace that. You know, politics is a bullshit fiction, like death. It doesn't exist. It's like money. It means fuck all. Has no value whatsoever. But we live in a world that tells us a £20 note is worth £20. £20 of what exactly? Never asked that question. Your £20 note is worth £20 of what? It's actually £20 of your labour, your hard work. It's backed by fuck all. It's entire fiction. So rather than getting wrapped up into the conspiracy and the bullshit and the negativity, let's embrace it. We are facing a time of infinite possibility, and it's down to us how that exactly